All right, so you saw the power of using mock MVC, right? So we're actually testing that our API semantics does work. So actually, let me add the / here, otherwise it will break. So the when, so right here, so when we are actually interested to know whether we can make payments, right? So if I open up the project tab, and let's go to the payment package right here. And I don't think we did implement the actual controller, right, for the payment. So let's go ahead and simply use the payment request and have the endpoint that will take the actual payment request from the client. So let's go ahead and simply create a class. So payment, and then controller. This will be at REST controller, and at request, and then mapping, and let's simply say API, and then version 1, and then payment, right? So here what we're going to do is the following. So we're going to have a method, so public, and then void, and let's simply have and let's simply name this as make, and then payment, and this will take the payment request right here, and this will come from the request, and then body, just like that. And right here we need to simply inject, so private final, and then payment, and then service. There we go. Add to constructor, and then we can simply add the add auto wired. And here what we're going to do is simply forward the request, so payment service dot charge card. And we actually need the customer ID. So what we're going to do is the following. So here we actually need to say at, and then request, and then body, and then let's simply have / well, actually not request body, so request, and then mapping / and this will be the customer, and then ID. So customer ID will come from the path right here. So you could actually have for example a filter just to make sure that the customer ID does exist or not, but all of that logic is also inside of the charge card. So right here, let's simply say before the request body that we want to grab the path and then variable, and the path variable that we want is the actual customer ID, and this will be of type UID. So customer, and then ID, put this on a new line just like that, and hopefully you can see everything. So now we will have access to customer ID, and then pass the payment request just like that. So I actually forgot to do the same thing for the customer registration right here. So when we register a customer, so let's go back to the customer registration controller, and right here let's simply say private final, and then customer registration service. There we go. Inject that. There we go. And now instead of simply saying system.println, and we want to customer registration.service register, and then pass the request. And there you go. So I think now we have all the building blocks for our application, and what we need to do now is actually test whether we can register a customer and that the whole integration does work. So this is what we are actually doing in this test. So what we need to do is actually invoke our payment API and then make sure that we have a payment associated with this customer here. And that's what we're going to do next.